Welcome back to CRG, where this week we're going to do a bit more work to this Amiga 500 Plus. So last time, while working on this machine, we discovered one burnt out resistor up towards the game ports at the back. So we're going to take a quick look at the schematics just to see what that resistor was connected to, and then we can fit a new one. We removed the floppy drive last time, and instead of that fitted a Gotek, along with that floppy looking thing sticking out the side with the buttons, USB interface and an OLED screen. One thing that was missing from that though, I thought, was the sound. So today we're going to fit this kit to plug into the Gotek. That should give us those sounds back. And I thought while we're in there, let's see if we can't figure out a better way to mount everything. So first things first, let's jump online and take a quick look at those schematics. For that, we're going to go to this website here, amigawiki.org. Lots of very useful Amiga information to be found on this site. I'll stick a link to it in the description below. This is what we're after here. These are the various vector schematics for the different models, and in particular for us, Amiga 500 Rev 6. Now, yes, I am fully aware that the 500 Plus is actually the Rev 8 motherboard, not Rev 6, but for the component we're interested in, which is R408, I don't think there'll be any difference between all the various revisions. Speaking of which, here it is. So R408 is a resistor that sits on the VCC or 5V line running to pin 7. So why would that be burnt out? Well, I don't really know. Best guess though, something has shorted pin 7 to ground, which just happens to be pin 8. So perhaps somebody has plugged in an incompatible device, which just so happened to short those two pins. That would very quickly burn out that resistor. When we're taking the machine apart in a minute, we are going to just check quickly with the multimeter that there is no short there. I don't see how there would be, but we'll just check that to be sure. Okay, let's get this thing apart and let's get that motherboard out. All being well, this top cover should just lift off. There we are. And just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to disconnect the Gotek from the motherboard completely, and then we can remove it along with the top cover. Then we'll just disconnect the keyboard. And it's just a matter of trying to wrestle this motherboard out of the case. So here's the motherboard out of the machine. And here is our burnt resistor. So we'll just crack out this multimeter here. And I just want to check quickly if there is any short on that resistor to ground. So we're in continuity here. I don't think there will be a short, but let's just check. So we're getting a reading there of more or less 130 ohms. Let's just check the one beside it, which does the same thing, but for this port. Yeah, that's reading exactly the same, so I dare say that is fine. There is no short present. Let's just see out of interest. So it's listed as a 4.7 ohm. The good one there is reading at 5.1. That's fine. What about the blown one or the burnt one? Yeah. It may be a little cooked, but it still is giving a reading. 5.3. Probably could just leave it, you know. But no, I want to replace it. It looks absolutely terrible. So, I dare say someone has plugged in something in here that has shorted that 5-volt line to ground and has cooked that resistor. It hasn't burnt it right through, it hasn't failed, but yeah, let's get it replaced. So we need to get this out, and it's those two pads there. So same as always, just a little bit of fresh solder. That just helps get the heat moving. Right, let's see if this will come out. One well and truly cooked resistor. Let's get the new one in place. So these are 1 watt resistors I'm using, by the way. It didn't say on the schematics what the original were, but it's about the same size anyway. I dare say those are 1 watt as well. There's a little bit of dirt there, so I'm just going to grab a cotton bud with a little bit of IPA on it and just give all this a bit of a quick clean. Okay, let's get the new one in. Just a touch of flux. And because I'm feeling lazy, let's just use a desoldering station to solder the new one in place. Yeah, bit of a blob. One new resistor installed. And just before we put it back in the case then, let's just double check all those readings. So we still have our more or less 130 ohms to ground. Let's just check we have continuity through the resistor. Yep, now it's reading 5.1, well 5 ohms. The existing one was reading what, 5.1? Yep. Okay, I think that's good. Let's just check that right through to the pin, which pin 7, this one. Yep, that's fine. Let's get this board back in the machine. Then we can have a bit of a play with this speaker. There's the board installed again in the case. Let's turn our attention to this Gotek. Now, I did say I wanted to come up with a better means of mounting it. Previously, I had the Gotek mounted here, just a bit of double-sided tape stuck to the board, but that leads to a problem in so much as Gotek's stuck to this, but the extender is stuck to the top. So what I think I'm going to do instead is stick the Gotek to the top as well. I think this little bit of double-sided sticky tape, we can stick that down there. I mean, there's no weight to that, so it should stay there nicely for me. And then equally, our buzzboard that we're going to be installing in a minute, we could say stick it on here. It just connects to the Gotek. And then if I ever need to take this machine apart, all I need to disconnect is that power and that floppy ribbon. Now yes, ideally what you'd want to do here is design a custom 3D printed bracket that would make use of the existing posts and whatnot that held the old floppy drive in place. But I don't have a 3D printer, or well, don't have one yet anyway. I have been looking at them on the likes of Amazon and well, I might ask Santa for one, let's put it like that. But for now, we're just going to have to make do with a bit more double-sided sticky tape. I just need to put a triple layer of this on here, just to clear the depth. of those pins. Okay, that's nice and solid. Not going anywhere. Right, how does our buzzboard kit work? So this came from KM Tech as well. The same crowd that made this extension here that we fitted last time. So we connect this up to our Gotek. We need +5, 0 volts, so presumably ground, don't know, and signal. Okay, seems relatively straightforward. We get our +5 volts, which will make orange from there. Our signal comes from that pin there. I'll make that one yellow. And then our 0 volts, which will make green, comes from the one adjacent to that. Just like that. Let's connect these up here. And then the speaker connects up to those other two. So I just want to mount that, say there, and then the wee speaker can just go beside it. Something like that. There we are. Time to test it out. Hopefully all this fits in the case okay and doesn't hit anything. I don't think it will. It's well towards the back, and so long as it's not taller than that, which rests on there, it should have plenty of clearance. So keyboard back in. Connect that up. Let's see about hooking up this. And all being well, this will close. It's hitting something, isn't it? Not happy about that. Might just be that wire actually. Oh, you know what it is? It's the ribbon cable. Yeah, I think that's it now. I'm happy enough with that. Get screws back in and let's test it out. Okay, everything is hooked up and ready to go. I have left one of my microphones just sitting here on top of the Amiga. That's roughly where that speaker is inside. Let's see what it sounds like. Well, definitely making noises. Sounds a bit like a floppy drive. Maybe a floppy drive in another room. Certainly better than nothing though. So just booting into Workbench here first of all. I just want to be double sure that our memory expansion is working fine. Why is it still making noises? Is Workbench not already loaded? There we are. Right, so yeah, still have our 2 meg chip and 1 meg of slow, and obviously some of that is being used by Workbench, so yep, that's fine. Right, I asked a question over on the Commodore and Amiga UK Facebook page. What are a few discs or games that come to mind when you think about a noisy floppy drive? One of the ones that people recommended was Pinball Dreams. So let's boot that and see what it sounds like. Is it just me, or does that sound very similar to the noises it was making loading Workbench? Let's try another one, will we? One of the other ones that people thought is fairly unique, distinctive, is Supercars 2. Let's try that. Right, it's not loading for some reason. I wonder, does it maybe not like my RAM expansion? What else have we got? How about State of the Art? Okay, I am absolutely convinced that that sound coming from the floppy speaker is identical regardless of what you're loading. Right, that is somewhat disappointing. Is that thing just like playing a audio sample of a floppy drive? Now, I can't help but wonder, is that the buzzboard that's doing that? Or is that something from the Gotek with that flash floppy firmware? You know what? Let's do a comparison, will we? We'll pull down one of the 1200s and we'll try Lemmings and compare that against the ADF version of it loading on this. Okay, let's see what the real disc of Lemmings sounds like loading in this 1200. Right, that's the game loaded. So let's compare that to the ADF loading on the 500. Okay, here we go. Lemmings ADF. What's that going to sound like? Yeah, this sounds exactly the same as all the other ADFs, and bears absolutely no resemblance to what the real disk loading sounds like. Well, there we are. That's pretty much everything that I want to do to this Amiga 500 Plus. We have our memory expansion in here. We've got the Gotek with the extender and its OLED display. We fixed that burnt out resistor and we've fitted that buzzer mod, albeit that maybe didn't work out just the way I thought. I am a little disappointed that it's playing exactly the same sound for every single disk image. I just wish it had been slightly more realistic. I'll maybe do a bit of homework on that to see if I can't figure out why it sounds exactly the same every time. And sure, if I figure anything out, I'll let you know. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up, as it does help the channel. It helps with those YouTube algorithms. And that's it. I'll see you next time.